It's Sarah Spain, Israel Gutierrez, Kevin Blackistone, and Bob Ryan today, and the winner gets a lifetime private jet. Let's go around the horn.
What?
Oh. And a bologna and cheese sandwich.
Yes, I want the bologna.
Did you see that in there? Yeah.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter.
Take the sandwich.
Here's Tony Reale.
Falcons 27, Cowboys 7. Atlanta's must win. Not even a question, you said, Kevin Blackistone. You were right. They missed Ezekiel Elliott. They missed Sean Lee. And they missed blocking Adrian Claiborne, who had 6 sacks on the day. Chaz Green was filling in at left tackle for Tyron Smith. The question to start, national panel, is whether you think the Cowboys are done right now, and specifically, is it about no Zeke, no Lee, or no left tackle, Israel? You can start us off.
I think they're done. I'm looking at the landscape of this NFC, and I think they're done, especially when you consider, yes, I don't know which one's more important, Ezekiel Elliott or the left tackle missing Tyron Smith. But I will say Adrian Claiborne looked like a glitch in a Madden game or like a created player. It was not an even matchup there. And if you can get 6 sacks against any team, it's a problem, especially looking forward. Now, I don't know what the prognosis is on Tyron Smith, but if you look at the Cowboys' next 2 games, first of all, they go within 10 days, and they're against the Eagles and the Chargers, 2 teams in the top 10 in sacks. So looking at, again, look at the schedule, look at the standings, look at the Panthers in position to possibly make a move here at 7-3 by beating the Dolphins tonight. You look at the Falcons, who have a game up on them now that they beat them. It does not look good for the Cowboys. They're figuring out their issues at probably the worst time.
Kevin Blackistone?
Well, I will go in another direction in terms of looking at the schedule, because I look at the schedule and I see they have 3 home games coming up, and 2 of those are against division foes in the Eagles, who they get to play twice in the second half of the season, plus Washington. So, you know what? As bad as they looked, they have a chance to still right their ship at 5-4 and stay right in the wild card hunt. Do I think they're going to catch the Eagles? Absolutely not. Do I think they have huge problems? Absolutely so at left tackle. But Chaz will never look as bad as he looked in that game before. That's just NFL impossible for him to be that bad again. So I got to think they're going to figure some things out.
To answer the question, are they done? You say no. And then you said, but do they have problems? Yes. Do they have a left tackle? No. I mean, Bob Ryan, how do you view it?
I think that you could look at the schedule thing, Kevin Blackistone, 2 ways about those Eagles games. 2 opportunities or 2 chances to get their butts kicked. I'm leaning toward the latter. First of all, there's no way they're catching the Eagles for the division. Let's forget that. So if they're done, yes, that's done. So the only remote hope is a second wild card, and I don't see it. I think they got about a 10% chance of doing that. I don't like the feel of it all. And if he's going to be out, he being Tyron Smith is going to be out any length of time. We won't have somebody sacking Prescott 6 times, but there's going to be problems. And I just don't think they have enough. No.
Yeah, if they're the team that's going to allow 6 sacks and get 65 yards on the ground without Zeke, no, they're not going to be able to beat the Eagles next week. And then when they lose, that totally gives away the shot at the division. Now you look at the wild cards and you look at the tiebreakers, they've got no chance either there because they've lost to the teams that are above them. So is it over? Well, nothing is over until we say it is officially,
we know you
technically.
Were going there. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say it, but the point is, it's not technically, but by all accounts and purposes, yes, I think they are done.
Okay, and it was 8 sacks they allowed, 6 sacks by Chaz Green. Now, 6 sacks allowed to one guy. Whose fault is that, really? Is it all on Chaz Green, or is it on the coaching staff? I mean, what are we talking about here, Israel?
No, you got to get that man some help. Maybe after 2, 3, 4 sacks, maybe you put somebody else out there, maybe 2 tight ends on that side. Who knows? But you do need to get him some help. I will say this, though. If you do fix that part, the pass protection, which gives Dak Prescott no shot whatsoever in this pass game, I do think that he is good enough to make up for a lot of what Ezekiel Elliott is missing there. And obviously the running backs can create some sort of decent running game. So that's, to me, it seems like the most important part is pass protection, because Dak Prescott is that good.
Yeah, Tony, I mean, you hit on it. I mean, you got to make some adjustments when you see your left tackle in that kind of duress over there. Do something to chip him, run plays away, and it never seemed like the Cowboys made any adjustments to get away from him.
Yeah, I don't think, I'll check to see if I have this right, I don't think Dak Prescott was on the run, rolling out to his right, running away from that pressure much in that game. Nope. This was the Jerry Jones, Arthur Blank game. Can we talk about that for a second? Pro Football Talk report that this has gotten so bad for Jerry, other owners could look into the nuclear option, forfeiture of franchise bylaw for conduct detrimental to the league. Does anybody think that could be possible?
No chance. No.
Okay, then we'll move on from that. League compensation committee. A conference call today to push ahead the proposed extension for Roger Goodell. You all saw the alleged Goodell counterproposal. We're hearing that was from earlier this year that leaked $50 million a year and lifetime use of a private jet. Bob Ryan, hearing all that, where are you on the current state of league affairs?
Obviously, I find it fascinating, not since the days of Al Davis has there been an owner who has been at odds with so many people. And the thing is, it's happened very quickly, it seems to me, ever since there was a unanimous agreement, we're told, that a committee would be able to formulate this contract and have the negotiations with them. Now, I just say this. I'm wondering out aloud now if this is that there wasn't some residual resentment about Jerry Jones dating way back to when he was going against the grain with his marketing and he was going against the grain with contracts that the league had and all stuff and doing his own way and marching to his own drummer. And maybe there was some residual resentment that now is resurfacing that we did not see manifest itself publicly before.
Sarah Spain?
First, I'd like you to take a point away from me for saying accounts and purposes instead of intents and purposes, because that should be punished.
Or
heartily.
intensive purposes. That's what people say as well.
Or intensive would be even worse. Yeah, either way, I misuse it. The point is that I think this Jerry Jones thing is fascinating to watch because he has so much power, but then also the power that he gives himself and the belief that he has that he is above the other owners and the commissioner, I think could be that fatal flaw, because they were willing to accept him being the guy that walked with a different kind of walk and had this certain swagger and acted like he was better. But now that he's actually threatening to sue other owners, now that he's saying that something comes into my house and now I'm mad, but I was okay when the other teams were getting punished by Goodell, that is going to change the power structure in the NFL going forward. Even if he sits down and takes this like he should, I still think going forward they're going to be much more aware of him trying to dominate the league.
And you think this is all about Ezekiel Elliott and it's all about self-interest with Jerry Jones?
Mm-hmm. Zeke Elliott, Papa John's, all that stuff.
The Papa John's gambit gets invoked yet again. Okay, Israel Gutierrez, where are you?
Oh, I think it's definitely a combination of things, self-interest-wise, that have sort of come to a head here. And now he's trying to, and this is what I believe, sort of overstep his bounds, if you will. And this is the problem. He's going to end up being his own worst enemy here, because I don't think other owners had said, giving Roger Goodell a round of applause for what he's done and saying, hey, this extension is automatic. I'm sure there have been some questions there. But when you are this sort of forward with it and you look at yourself, people look at you as either the worst of two evils or very close to the evil that is Roger Goodell, then yeah, they're probably going to move against you. They're going to say, you're my peer, you are not my boss, so I'm going to go the Roger Goodell route. And so maybe he is pushing in the wrong direction here by overstepping his bounds, it seems.
Kevin Blackistone.
Well, you know, this is all very interesting, right? Because earlier this year, Jerry Jones voted, along with other owners, to allow this very committee to go ahead with the negotiations with Roger Goodell, and apparently reaffirmed that just a few months ago before the season started, and now he has turned against that decision. Now, I don't have a problem with Jerry Jones looking out for the fiduciary as a fiduciary responsibility what is happening with the league, but I do have a problem with his timing on this whole thing.
Well, what happened in that time, Kevin Blackistone?
Well, you know what happened within that time. One was Ezekiel Elliott,
yes.
And they're losing him, and you see how that cost them. And then the other thing I think is also the protest during the national anthem, which he tried to get control of in a way that other owners hadn't necessarily done so. So I think those are the two things.
My last wonder here, though, is the leaked report that Goodell's counterproposal was for $50 million and lifetime use of a private jet. Do you guys believe that? Do you think that's been kicked up to kind of draw people to one side or the other? You can just nod your head one way or the other. I'll take it all in. You believe it? You do believe it. Do you know how much Adam Silver makes as commissioner of the NBA right now? I believe it's $10 million. That's exactly right, Kevin Blackistone. $50 million 5 times for being commissioner of the NFL? Wow, that's stunning. We'll move on. Let's talk college. Best weekend of the year so far. Where do you guys want to start?
Right there.
I'll take that as the you. Thank you very much, Bob. Chain. I know you love it, Bobby. What did Miami show you, and what didn't Notre Dame show you, Israel Gutierrez? We'll start with you. You got the palm trees behind you.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, Notre Dame showed me that they're not as fast, not as athletic as this Miami team. If you look at this Miami team and just go back years, even before Mark Richt got there, they seem to sort of have underdeveloped talent, because when they got to the NFL, you're just like, wait a second, this guy was in Miami, I don't remember him being this good. Now it feels like Mark Richt came in there, created this program, and is getting the best out of these players. That team is that talented. So they haven't been playing that well all year long, but to show that level of skill, that level of preparation, and that just beatdown of Notre Dame, the number 3 team in the country. It shows you how well they can play. So I'm not saying they're consistently this good yet, but they can absolutely be a playoff team and even make a run at the championship.
Bob Ryan?
I got Sam Cooke in my head, Tony. That's the sound of the men
working on the chain. Yeah, okay, I'll give you points for that, too.
All right, now, I was very impressed with Miami because I was carrying the torch for Notre Dame. Believe it or not, a BC guy sticking up for Notre Dame. I had Notre Dame number 3 in the rankings in my Bob Ryan rankings going into this thing. I thought they were solid. I was talking all year long about the best loss among all these teams with the Georgia loss, blah, 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 blah. And they got the doors blown off. And I'm going, whoa. And now I'm taking a second look at Miami, and I'm realizing that they really have a lot to offer. I wondered because they had so many close calls, so many last possession games, so many calls. I said, they're squeaking by. They're going to get exposed. Well, guess what? No, Notre Dame's the one that got exposed.
Sarah Spain.
It's funny you're singing Sam Cooke because I think that's what the Miami players listen to after the game, after a big win. That's definitely what they're getting down to. This is a turnover chain, too. This looks like a dove. It's actually an abyss. That's how much I'm repping the U. No, it was turnovers. It was turnovers.
I thought it was
the turnover
ibis.
chain. They've got ibis. I don't know. It's a bird. Whatever. You get it. The turnover chain. They forced 4 turnovers, and Notre Dame didn't force 1. And so it comes down to taking care of the ball, protecting the ball. Izzy is right. They're faster and they're more athletic, the Notre Dame style that's bigger and slower, and it didn't work, especially when they didn't protect the ball. So that was the big difference to me.
Okay, the Ibis or the Ibis? I'm still going with
What's
Ibis.
happening to
Sarah
Sarah?
Spain
I like
is a
Ibis.
pretender today. I found a picture of you.
Train wreck is plasma one.
Kevin Blackistone, please.
Yeah, it was that defense and the swag. I mean, this Miami team looks like the Miami teams of the lore, right? I mean, they were turning the ball over. They were on the edges. They were creating all manner of havoc. You looked at them. That's the one thing you look at with that chain. It may be corny or whatever, but there's something about that you got to like. And I said going into the game, turnovers would be the big difference.
Yeah.
And even though Notre Dame's defense turns a lot of people over, I mean, the role that this defense was on for the Hurricanes was amazing.
You're lucky you're getting points. That was pretty close to self-promotion there, Blackistone, but you did get the game right. After Miami, the most impactful result of the weekend, anyone going to say Oklahoma or maybe Auburn over Georgia, as Bob Ryan alluded to, or Wisconsin? Bob, you could start us off.
Yeah, I think it's the Auburn game because Georgia was alleged to be number 1. They were number 1 in that ranking, and then I think not just losing, but getting killed that way. But I think Oklahoma's a very, very close second. They benefited greatly from this. But the school that may have benefited the most was Wisconsin because they needed people to pile up L's somewhere, and now L's are piling up.
KB.
Yeah, I was going to say Wisconsin in a weird way just for that same reason. They get to play, another ranked team, and then they get to play in the Big Ten championship, so they have a chance, and they should have a chance. Maybe they should already be in it, the top 4 going into the end of the year.
I'm pretty sure Bob named every game there, so I'm going to stick with one, and I'm going to say Wisconsin is the one that benefited the most for all those reasons. They could have been eliminated with a home loss to Iowa yesterday. Instead, other teams in front of them, as we projected, lost, and now they look like that 4 or 5 team that if they continue on and beat either Ohio State and Michigan State in the Big Ten championship, it's going to be really difficult to keep them out.
And Bob talked about piling up L's. Speaking of, Sarah Spain at -6. Most impactful.
And I didn't even get to answer the last question, so I can't even save myself.
Well, no, please. You got time. Get all the time in the world.
Okay, well, let me go on a limb and say the Badgers, because the Badgers definitely benefit from chaos. Actually, I was going to say the Sooners.
Give me those points. Just give me those points.
Sarah, I mean, it's just all over the place right now. We're taking a break. Buy or sell's next. Maybe it'll be the biggest comeback in buy or sell history, Sarah. I'm pulling for you.
I like a Spain wreck.
Patriots. Remember the LeGarrette Blount thing 2 years ago? He talked his way out of Pittsburgh, wound up with a ring last year. There's no morality worries in New England.
Okay, you were wrong about it. Prediction for the touchdown, so you're losing that. But what are we talking? Nefarious? Skullduggery? What's going on here, Bob?
Amorality.
Amorality, a buy.
They just want to win.
Sarah Spain, do you view this as something that's really underhanded in the league and, of course, by the Patriots?
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone who argues that teams can cut at will, they're doing so because someone's detrimental to the team, because they're not performing, whatever that is. If you signed a 3-year contract with the team, their quarterback gets hurt, and you don't want to play there anymore because you want to play for a winner, you don't stop playing, sit out, claim you need surgery, throw the team doctor under the bus, get cut, go somewhere else, and play 3 days later. It's total BS. And I like Marty B, but I'm sorry, this is a bad look on both sides.
That's how you mount a comeback, Spain. Gutierrez.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that a number of teams, obviously every team in the league had a waiver claim at him, but if he's saying, hey, I might have surgery, then of course they're not going to claim him. And so if it's Martellus Bennett, and it seems like everybody's jumping on him saying, hey, you're a bad dude for doing this, or if it's a combination of the Patriots doing it and him, it's even worse. So yeah, they should go and look into taking some of his money away, the Packers.
Yeah, the Patriots pulled something off here, and you know what? Who should be surprised about this? We have seen this before, as Bob alluded to. You know, the other interesting thing about Martellus Bennett, though, right, he's one of these outspoken guys in the league. But the Patriots had absolutely no problem with that because he's still a baller.
Right, and what did he say? He's going to tell you the long story about this at another time. So not so outspoken right now. Right. We'll move on. Buy or sell to the Saints. You all love New Orleans now after not mentioning them for 2 months. This is a 7-game winning streak. They had 298 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns yesterday at Buffalo. Nobody's done that at all this NFL season. Is it possible the Saints are a better running team and better off as a running team, Israel?
Absolutely. I mean, look, not only do they do things yesterday that not a whole lot of teams have done over the past, 2 decades in this league, but when you've got Drew Brees back there and you've got that offense that you know can turn to the pass and you can still run 48 out of 73 times and have that type of production, yeah, absolutely. They can be sort of one of those scary offenses.
KB.
This is why Adrian Peterson went there. He knew that they could run the ball. Just give him the ball. I mean, Kamara has looked great. He's come on very well. But look, that team still lives and dies with the arm of Drew Brees.
Bob Ryan, you believe that?
Well, he's going along for the ride right now. This isn't quite Army, who won a game this year without throwing a forward pass. But they did run it 24 straight times yesterday. The first time anybody's done that since 1989. And this is their new identity. We're just going to have to get used to it.
Spain.
Yeah, as KB said, they live and die by the arm of Brees. Well, guess what? You're in perfect position to have the threat of that arm and not use it as often by being a great rushing team. And also, by the way, as the weather gets worse and they go on the road and they need to play teams in bad conditions, being a running team with a great defense is a lot better.
They won on the road this
week,
which was the other thing you used to say about them. They can't win on the road. They don't play defense. They did. Bob, you brought up Army winning a game this year without throwing a pass. You know who they did it against? Fordham Rams. Yeah, you're getting new for that. Who at that time had the #1 pass defense in college football by now allowing 0 yards, I must say. We'll move on. Garbage with this rule.
Yeah, I mean, it's a garbage rule. It should absolutely be like anywhere else in the field. You fumble out of bounds, you get the ball where you finished. But that being said, normally I would say it's not worth it to pile on a guy for something like this that nobody could have seen turning out the way it did, and that he had other coaches up there also advising him. But in this case, I'm going to double the pun by saying, yes, pile on him, because we need him out. He's 12-29 with the Bears, and if you need one embarrassing thing to use as the point to get rid of him, then do it.
This is an embarrassing thing that you're getting a lot of points for that Woody Page-like pun. Israel Gutierrez.
Wow, well, I might be going the opposite direction here because I was about to say, like Sarah Spain early on in the show, you know when you're done. And when John Fox is challenging something that he thinks is supposed to help his team, and it turns out the exact opposite situation and makes him look so ridiculous, you know you're done, my man. It's just in the cards.
Horrible, horrible rule. They need to get rid of the rule. Maybe John Fox needs to go too. And I tell you what else they need to get rid of. Instant replay that is that precise. We're starting to see this in all sports now. You know, how could a referee actually see that? And like we said in the beginning, why is it even a rule?
Okay, but get rid of the precision of instant replay. You want
I just mean it's just so precise now that you can see the ball between his hands, not touching it. That's just too much.
Yes. Bob Ryan, last word.
Well, Frank, it's the rule. Replays become a Frankenstein's monster. I don't fault Fox for this. I don't share Sarah's enmity towards John Fox. But I feel sorry for him because, who knew that was going to be the outcome? But the replay is absolutely a Frankenstein's monster now.
Sarah Spain, you have 24 points in this buy or sell segment. Congratulations, but you're eliminated. But great job. Blackstone getting a bolt here, too. Gutierrez.
Some bologna and cheese. I'm going to listen to some music, pet my dogs because we won. And then I'm just going to... it's not like, woohoo, you know what I'm saying? Hey!
Doug Marrone, after the Jaguars got to 6-3 after a multiple taunting penalty, block kick, but still good overtime win. How much can a sane person believe in these Jacksonville Jaguars, Israel?
Bro, this, and I called you bro just now because that's how amazingly frustrating this game was to watch down the stretch. The mistakes down the stretch of that game were as bad as that Marrone press conference there. They're grossly incompetent. on
That's the
offense.
kind of game I don't call a win. That's called a non-loss. But I'm most concerned about bologna and cheese. I haven't heard of bologna, which I used to eat at my grade school lunch back 50 years ago. In fact, I actually like crust ham better. But bologna and cheese, what kind of low-class taste does this guy have?
That was the extra special glimpse into the life of Bob Ryan I always wanted. FaceTime.
Now, let me get this straight. This contract that Jerry Jones hates. $50 million. Okay, $50 million. If they say he's worth 50, but what about this? He also wants private jet plane for life. He wants his health insurance paid. Could he spend a little of that 50? What, you going to buy day-old bread too? Is he going to go shop at those dollar stores? What is this? Spend a little of the money, Roger. You know, $50 million. You don't have to be given free this and free that. Spend it. Good for the economy, Raj. Okay. Big buy.
Bologna and cheese and a private jet for everybody for life.